What's going on, everybody? Welcome once again to Blueberry Gaming. My name is Blueberry. Today we're going to give you the Xbox original games that I want to come to the Xbox One. So let's get into the video. Okay, so the first game that I want to talk about is Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. Oddworld Stranger's Wrath was developed by Oddworld inhabitants. It was published by EA for the Xbox, and it was released in January of 2005. I've always been a fan of Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. It was a 2-disc game for the PlayStation 1, and I finished it, the whole game, and that game really is amazing. They remade it, if you want to get a chance to check it out, for the Xbox One. I think you should check it out. When you played Abe's Odyssey, you were a prisoner and you were trying to escape this huge factory where they were killing everybody and turning them into food. You were just a prisoner, and it really changed a lot for me. It was so weird. Oddworld Stranger's Wrath changed everything because they changed it from 3D. It wasn't just side scrolling. They changed it from 3D, and you can switch from 3D to first person, and you had a crossbow and you would shoot different furry creatures and stuff like that at people, and you were bounty hunting. The Vita releases were where it really shined. It looked really amazing on the screen. I think it should come back to Xbox One. The next game on my list is going to be Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. That was developed by Rockstar North and published by Rockstar Games and released in October of 2004 for the PlayStation 2 and January 2005 for the PC and Xbox. You can get it for the 360 right now, but it's not for the Xbox One. I had it for my PlayStation 4. They remade it and it had trophies. So that was really cool. So I wish that Xbox would do the same thing. It forever would be one of the top games of all times because a lot of games always get compared to it. So that just knows that you are one of the best games. Grand Theft Auto 5 is sold more than any game. I mean, the game is doing phenomenal, and it shows that San Andreas really is what a lot of people loved and wanted to get back into. Because of when it was released and how it impacted my life, the game will always be one of those games that I always want to go back and play. I've beat that game more than any game out there. The secrets and the mini games is really what drove the game for me because it was so different. You know, it wasn't just an open world. It had a lot in the game. There was a lot to do. There was a lot of weird mini games and side quests, a lot of extra stuff like lifting weights and stuff like that, going out to eat and all that kinds of cool stuff. I love Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, but I also love Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and I wish that we can go back into Vice City as well. I really think they need to send us back to Vice City in the next Grand Theft Auto. Next game I'm thinking about, it's Dreamfall: The Lost Journey. That's a crazy adventure story game. It was developed by Funcom for the PC and Xbox platforms. It was released in April of 2006. It says that they reportedly was making a massively multiplayer game of it in the same universe, but it was canceled. This game was a personal favorite for me because I picked this game up. It was so random and I played it. I started it off. I didn't think I was going to really get into it because I like games where you can interact with the world. And I saw that I got into the story, and the story was really deep. It had so many twists and so many turns. You started off just trying to find her friend, and it was just like this long mission on trying to find where this guy was. And I was so confused on what was going on. I constantly played the game. I was hooked. I played hours and hours of the game, and I finally beat it. I couldn't stop playing. I was going every day that I got a chance to play the game. I was playing it, and it was just a weird story. Once you figure out everything that happens through the game, it was a really weird story, and it was so different. The story was really good for a game of its time. Dreamfall Chapters is out right now for the One. It continues the story of what happened in the original Dreamfall. I've never played it myself, but I will in the future. And the game developers have also worked on a couple other games. One was The Park, another game called Anarchy Online, which is a alien MMO style game where you can play online and it's free to play. So that's really cool. They worked on the Conan games as well, and they're working on an upcoming game called Mutant Year Zero, which I cannot wait to talk more about. The game's cutscenes look phenomenal. The next game on the list is A Series of Unfortunate Events. I know a lot of people might not think this game is good. They might think it sucks, but since the Netflix series is being remastered and bringing the series back, and a lot of people are enjoying that, they're not going to make another game for it. it's definitely not gonna, they're definitely not gonna be making another game for it. And since I've been watching the Netflix series, it would be cool to play that game again, since I did have that game. The next game on the list is The Punisher. The Punisher was developed by Volition and released by THQ in 2005 for the PS2, Xbox, and PC. The game had some pretty cool over-the-top kills, and since The Punisher was revived on Netflix again, since like a series of unfortunate events with one of the stars from Walking Dead, I really wouldn't mind going back and playing this game again. It was interesting. It had a lot of good kills, and the story was pretty epic. Punisher is awesome. You know, I wouldn't mind having that game on my Xbox One and replaying it. It was pretty brutal. Like, when I think about it, the game was brutal for its time. I wouldn't mind playing it again. Next game is Red Dead Revolver. Red Dead Revolver, published by Rockstar Games and developed by Rockstar San Diego. It was released in 2004 and it was re-released for the PlayStation 4 with some new trophies in 2006. I never got to play this game myself. I did play Gun for the 360 when it came out, but that's as far as it goes for Western games. Red Dead Redemption came out and it was so good that I didn't need much more in Western games. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming out, so I'm really excited to play that. And even though it's a completely different story and has nothing to do with the other games, it messes with me that I haven't got to play it. And I remember overlooking it for those many years. I want to jump it. I might just jump onto it on my PS4, but I'm really trying to build up my Xbox. The next game is Scarface, The World Is Yours. Scarface, The World Is Yours is a 2006 open world game developed by Radical Entertainment for the PS2, Xbox, and PC. Published by Vivendi Games in 2006. It says a Xbox 360 version was being developed, but was canceled. And that's what it says here. It's just like playing Al Pacino running around in Grand Theft Auto. It seems like it had a ton of different stuff you could do, mini games and all kind of cool stuff like that. It kind of seemed like San Andreas, but I've always wanted to play it and never got a chance to because it was rated M. I did play some immature games, but not many, and that was just one I wasn't trying to risk playing, but I always wanted to, and I'll forever regret not playing it until I get to. So we need to bring that game back. I've heard nothing but good things. Everybody always tells me about this game, and I can't believe I didn't play it. I would have been pushing it just as much as everybody else. Another game I want to talk about is State of Emergency. It's a beat 'em up game. It was developed by Vis Entertainment and published by Rockstar Games for the PS2 and Xbox. It was just a random beat 'em up game I saw one day and I played it and I couldn't get over it. You know, I was playing it, running around. It was a mall. It had a mall setting where you could run around and beat people up, and it was guns and all kinds of stuff. It was pretty crazy. It was pretty brutal when you look back on it, but the game was fun for its time when I was playing it and I enjoyed it. It would be just good for me to play State of Emergency again. I don't know why I love that game so much, but it had me hooked on State of Emergency. I bought that game. I bought the second one too. The next game I want to talk about is The Sims 2. The Sims 2 came out in 2004. It was developed by Maxis and is published by EA Games, and this is the console version of it. There was a lot of Sims games. I loved them all. I didn't really play the PC as much because my PC was always a generation behind, so I did play just really late. I love the Game Boy Advance version. I love the Nintendo DS version. Every version of The Sims I really got into and played. Of course, I love the Sims versions for the console. I had my issues with it, but it was so different from any other Sim game. Because The Sims 2, other than the Game Boy Advance version, you can free roam by controlling the character that you create. You didn't have to point and click and tell your character where to go. You could actually walk around through your house, move around with the controllers. And I think that was the best part of that. And that could have always set them apart from any console. It would have blew up the console version. That was the best Sims game for the console. And that would have blew it up because it was something that would have stood apart from the Sims on the PC or the Game Boy or any other console like that. It would always stood apart because it was a big screen and you could actually control them with the controller. Why did they take that away? I mean, it might have took some more development issues, but I would have taken that over any other Sims type game. And I think The Sims 2 for the console is still one of my favorite Sims games of all time for that reason. Next game I want to talk about is Tony Hawk's Underground. Tony Hawk's Underground was published by Activision in 2003 by Neversoft. It was developed for GameCube, PlayStation 2, and the Xbox. Sadly, the latest Tony Hawk should have been thrown in the trash. Tony Hawk Pro Skater was a huge franchise for me and most people. And I even learned how to skateboard because of Tony Hawk. Just because of this game, I played every Tony Hawk that's come out. Other than Halo, it was one of my favorite games where all my friends would play and we would play past the controller, you know, couch co-op style. Tony Hawk was that game from the first one to all of them. So Tony Hawk's Underground really changed the whole series where you can get off your skateboard, walk around the world, It was so crazy because that changed everything that Tony Hawk was about. It wasn't even in a bad way. It actually made the series better. So I don't know what happened with this Tony Hawk, the newest Tony Hawk, and why it's so terrible. And I know Tony Hawk has nothing to do with it. Not blaming him. Tony Hawk Underground was fantastic. And we were doing so good going up. We were Tony Hawk Underground. I don't know. So sad. The last game that I want to talk about is True Crime Streets of LA. True Crime Streets of LA is a 2003 open world action adventure game. I can't pronounce the developer's name, but it came out for the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. True Crimes are still the best game at what it does. There's no other console game that captures the feeling of being put in that position of being a cop as well as True Crimes. Being able to walk around and frisk people and decide whether you want to be on the good side or the force, or returning evidence to the police station or selling it to the pawn shop. I love Sleeping Dogs too, since that was supposed to be the next game in the series, but it really took away a lot of the things that I loved about True Crimes in the first place. It's not a bad game, but I do miss True Crimes and I wish I could play it again. That's all I'm saying. So that was my list of all the original Xbox games that I hope comes to the Xbox One. Leave some games down below just in case you have some more that I haven't thought of. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. My name is Blueberry,